Hey VC, this is Harvey and welcome to Spinning the Black Circle. This is the first episode in a series named Great Lost Albums, and I'm going to be exploring albums that fall between what is the two accepted canons of contemporary music. So what do I mean by that? So on the one hand, you have LPs that are critically lauded, whether or not they sold lots of copies. So an example would be Velvet Underground and Nico's Andy Warhol LP. Another example would be Astral Weeks by Van Morrison, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. Those albums that either already in your collection, VC, or you've at least heard of. The other end of that spectrum is, of course, albums that just shifted a lot of units. Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA, Michael Jackson's Thriller, Eagles Hotel California, or more recently Adele's 25. But, there's such a long, vast array of amazing music that's been released over the last 60, 70 years. There are so many LPs that don't fall between those two canons that are worthy of our time. So highly personal choices and obviously very subjective. But I'm going to talk you through at least 10 of these LPs over 10 episodes and see how popular they are. See what your reaction is. So the first one is by a band that started out in the 70s as an act named Pages, with Richard Page on lead vocals and Steve George on keyboards. And they were a kind of West Coast indie pop band in the late 70s, verging on new wave. And they morphed into an act that was signed via RCA in the early 80s named Mr. Mister. They released a first LP that sounds very electronic, early 80s actually, named I Wear the Face. I think it made a bit of a dent, but wasn't a huge LP. And where they really broke big is an album from 1985, which is named Welcome to the Real World. That's the one that features Broken Wings, US #1, UK #1, 2, and Kyrie, and the third single Is It Love. So that was a huge LP. The album I'm going to feature is the one that followed that, which is an album by Mr. Mister named Go On from 1987, again via RCA Records. And the interesting thing about this LP is what I'm sure the record company were hoping that Mr. Mister would do following the success of Welcome to the Real World is release a huge sounding, gargantuan 80s pop LP. Remember, we're still right in the middle of 80s decadence, where with overblown keyboards and lyrics that reflected kind of upbeat, quite plastic concerns about life or about partying for many artists. This is the antithesis of that. So Mr. Mister's Go On is before that early to mid 90s phase when Nirvana changed the whole landscape and bands began to pare back their sound and use more acoustic instruments rather than electronic. This is exactly what this is. It still sounds huge, but not in it doesn't sound like an 80s LP at all. Lots of acoustic guitars, stripped back instruments with just the four of the guys playing in the band, gospel choirs. So it's a really pared back sound that doesn't sound like it's from the 1980s. More of a songwriting wise, lyrically, it doesn't reflect that 80s decadence. It reflects spirituality. There's a lot of thought going into this LP. And the title Go On, I think, refers to the fact that the band knew they were taking a risk and were just going to rest on their laurels and record another Welcome to the Real World. So there aren't any 80s power ballads on this. There is no Broken Wings, but it is a sensational set of tunes. The opening tracks, Stand and Deliver, for example, features probably the most gargantuan chorus I've ever heard. It sounds like there's about 100 voices on that opening track that's been laid on top of it. Incredible tune. All about getting up every day and facing challenges. It's really upbeat, but again, nothing on the lines of that 80s decadence or hangover from Welcome to the Real World. And Healing Water is the second tune, features a massive gospel choir sound to it. Again, so it's a very spiritual LP, and there's some Christian undertones on here, but it's not a Christian rock LP. It doesn't thrust that in your face, but it's definitely there in the background. I think some of that comes from Richard Page and his beliefs at the time. Another song that reflects that sort of, there's some faith in there is Man of a Thousand Dances, which is the penultimate tune. and it finishes. It's fantastically bookended by a song named "The Border" at the end, which is a piano-driven song that kind of reflects moving on and going on, and sets up the album title. So Mr. Mister's Go On, I think is a lost 80s classic, and it doesn't sound like an 80s LP. It's something that's stuck with me over the last 30 years, and I listen to it at least once every 2-3 months. Come back to it. I must have played it 200-300 times at least, minimum. The recording, as I said earlier, sounds absolutely massive. So you've got this kind of, I guess, RCA Records throwing the studio time at them, hoping this band come up with Welcome to the Real World Part 2, and they go in there and use the budget just to come up with this really well recorded but stripped back sound, produced by Kevin Killen. The mastering on this, you can get this on Discogs for something like £4 or £5 or $7-8, not expensive. I've put it in a MFSI master sleeve. Inside you get a lyric sheet and shots of the band in the studio, but it's really well mastered. The thing about it is it was never going to be popular or go down in any critics lists, because if you think about those two spectrums I talked about, it didn't sell because it wasn't it wasn't that 80s hook-laden pop release that everyone was hoping for following Welcome to the Real World. And because I suppose the name Mr. Mister by that stage had held connotations of them being another 80s power ballad act, another who can I think of in that sort of category? Huey Lewis and the News, or Icicle Works, or Glass Tiger, or mid-80s Heart. You buy a power ballad compilation and Broken Wings is going to be on it, isn't it? 80s US power ballad compilation. So because it's neither going to be a critic's choice and it was never going to sell huge, it's kind of got lost. But just if you like really well recorded, fantastically well written pop albums, then Mr. Mister's Go On is something that'll stick with you, and you will definitely listen to a lot more than Welcome to the Real World. As much as I like that LP, then this is why this is the first episode of Great Lost Albums, features Mr. Mister's Go On. I hope you enjoy it. Check it out. Please like, comment. Love to hear your thoughts on this or other albums actually including the series, because I haven't mapped out the whole series yet. That would be great. So until next time, VC, thank you and bye.